I was kissing someone who wasn't my husband when our bedroom door opened. The guilt hit me like ice water, but it was too late. David stood there holding our daughter's stuffed animal, probably coming to check if she'd left it in our room. His face went completely blank. Not angry. Not hurt. Just empty. Daddy? Emma's voice drifted from down the hall. Did you find Mr. Bear? David didn't move. Neither did I. Marcus scrambled off the bed, grabbing his shirt, muttering apologies that meant nothing. 8 years of marriage. 2 kids. A life we'd built brick by brick. And I just bulldozed it all for what? A few months of feeling desired again? The worst part? I'd convinced myself I deserved this. That David didn't appreciate me anymore. That he was too comfortable, too predictable. My friends at book club kept talking about how their husbands still surprised them, still took them on dates, still made them feel like women instead of just mothers. Sarah had been texting this guy from her gym for months, said it made her feel alive again. It's just flirting, she'd said. Everyone needs to feel wanted. But it wasn't just flirting with Marcus. It started that way when he joined my yoga class 6 months ago. The way he looked at me during poses, the compliments about my form, the coffee afterward that became lunch that became these stolen afternoons while my kids were at school and David was at work. I told myself David wouldn't understand. That he'd taken me for granted since Emma was born 3 years ago. That I was just a mother and a wife now, never just me. Marcus made me feel beautiful again, interesting again. He didn't see spit-up stains or hear me nagging about dishes. He saw the woman I used to be. God, I was so stupid. Marcus slipped past David without a word and fled down the stairs. I heard the front door slam. David still hadn't moved. Mommy? Emma appeared beside her father, tiny hand reaching for the bear he was clutching. Why is Daddy sad? That's when David finally moved. He handed Emma the bear, kissed the top of her head, and whispered, "Go play in your room, sweetheart. Daddy needs to talk to Mommy." I watched our daughter skip away, completely oblivious to the bomb that had just detonated her world. When her door clicked shut, the silence stretched between us like a chasm. How long? His voice was barely audible. David, How long, Rachel? 3 months. The words tasted like poison. He nodded slowly, like he was processing data. My husband, my partner, my best friend for 10 years, calculating the depth of my betrayal with the same methodical approach he used for everything else. The kids can't see you like this, he said finally. Pack a bag. Go to your sister's. David, please, we can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. His voice was steady, controlled. Terrifying. I need you gone before they start asking questions I can't answer without lying. I started crying then, ugly sobs that felt pathetic even to me. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. I love you. I love our family. You should have thought about that before you brought him into our bed. He turned toward the door, then stopped. I'll text you about when you can see the kids. Don't come back here without asking first. This is my house too. Is it? He looked back at me, and for the first time, I saw the hurt break through his careful composure. Because the woman who lived here with me wouldn't have done this. He left me there, sitting on the bed where I just destroyed everything. I could hear him downstairs, his voice gentle and normal as he talked to the kids, probably suggesting a movie night or ice cream. Protecting them from the chaos I created. I packed mechanically, hands shaking. 10 years of memories in this house. Emma's first steps in the living room. Sam's artwork covering the refrigerator. Date nights on the couch after the kids were asleep. All of it contaminated now by my selfishness. My phone buzzed. Marcus. Are you okay? Can we talk? I stared at the message, remembering how thrilling his attention had felt just hours ago. Now it felt hollow, desperate. He was already backing away, probably panicked about his own marriage being exposed. I'd risked everything for someone who wouldn't even stick around for the aftermath. I deleted his number without responding. When I carried my bag downstairs, David was in the kitchen making grilled cheese sandwiches for the kids. So normal. So him. Always taking care of everyone, even now. Mommy's going to Aunt Lisa's for a few days, I heard him tell them as I reached for my keys. Can we come too? Sam asked. Not this time, buddy. I wanted to say goodbye, to hug them, but David's back was rigid. The message was clear. Leave now, quietly, or make this worse for everyone. So I left. I drove to Lisa's apartment fighting the urge to turn around, to beg, to promise anything if he'd just let me come home. But I knew David. When he made a decision, he stuck to it. That steadiness had been one of the things I'd fallen in love with. It was also why I knew, sitting in Lisa's spare room that night, that I'd lost him forever. The divorce papers came by courier 3 days later. No discussion, no counseling, no chance to fight for us. David had already consulted a lawyer, filed everything, arranged temporary custody. While I'd been having my little affair, he'd been researching preschools for Emma and planning Sam's birthday party. I'd been choosing my own pleasure over my family, and he'd been choosing our children over his own heartbreak. The custody arrangement was brutal in its fairness. Every other weekend, one evening a week. Standard for the non-primary parent. I'd become a visitor in my children's lives because I couldn't keep my marriage vows. Marcus texted me twice more before disappearing entirely. Probably went back to his wife, tail between his legs, promising her the world. I was just collateral damage in his midlife crisis. The joke was on me for thinking I was special. My friends found out within a week. Small town, gossipy book club, David's sister talking to her neighbor who talked to everyone else. Sarah, who'd encouraged my harmless flirting, suddenly couldn't meet my eyes at soccer practice. The other moms formed a protective circle around David, bringing him casseroles and offering to watch the kids. I was frozen out completely. I had to sell my jewelry to afford my own lawyer. David had already separated all our accounts, had our assets valued, was 3 steps ahead in everything. 10 years of building a life together, and he dismantled my access to it in 72 hours. Work became unbearable. I'd been stupid enough to have lunch with Marcus near my office several times. People had seen us together, put the pieces together after the separation news spread. My boss called it a toxic work environment when I asked for a promotion I'd been promised. Apparently, adultery doesn't play well with the firm's family values image. The worst part was the kids' confusion. Emma kept asking when I was coming home. Sam started wetting the bed again. They couldn't understand why Mommy lived somewhere else now, why Daddy's eyes were always red, why everything had changed so suddenly. "Did Daddy make you leave?" Emma asked during one of my supervised visits at the park. "How do you explain to a 3-year-old that Mommy broke the family? That some choices can't be undone?" "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes," I told her, hating how inadequate it sounded. "Can you say sorry and come home?" I looked across the playground at David, sitting alone on a bench while I had my court-mandated 2 hours. He was staring at his phone, probably working, always working now to keep himself busy. We used to do this together every Saturday. Family time. Now he waited in his car like I was a stranger he didn't trust. Some sorries aren't enough, baby. By month 3, I'd moved back in with my parents. 34 years old, sleeping in my childhood bedroom, crying into the same pillow I'd used in high school. My mother tried to be supportive, but I caught the disappointment in her eyes. She'd loved David like a son. Had been planning to teach Emma how to bake cookies this Christmas, just like she taught me. The social media torture was constant. David never posted about the divorce, never badmouthed me publicly. He just kept sharing pictures of the kids, looking happy and adjusted in their new normal. Him making pancakes on Saturday mornings. Emma's first day of dance class. Sam's soccer goals. A life continuing beautifully without me in it. I commented on one photo of Emma's birthday party. "Just happy birthday, sweetheart." David deleted it within minutes. The message was clear. I wasn't part of their story anymore. My weekend visits became strained as the kids adapted to their new routine. They had friends over now, playdates David arranged with other single parents. Emma talked about Miss Jennifer, Sam's teacher who helped Daddy with homework. They were building a community that didn't include me. "Mommy, why do you always look sad?" Sam asked during one visit. "Because I threw away everything that mattered for 3 months of feeling important to someone who didn't even care enough to fight for me afterward. Because I chose temporary excitement over permanent love. Because I'm watching my children forget what it felt like to have a real family." "I miss you guys," I said instead. "We miss you too," Emma whispered. "But Daddy says you can't come back." 6 months after that terrible Thursday afternoon, I ran into David at the grocery store. He was buying ingredients for what looked like a dinner party, Emma helping him choose vegetables while chattering about her new friend from daycare. They looked content. Complete. He nodded politely when he saw me, the way you'd acknowledge any acquaintance. No anger, no pain, just careful indifference. Emma waved excitedly until he gently redirected her attention to the shopping list. I stood there watching my former life walk away from me, understanding finally that this was it. This was what I'd chosen when I chose Marcus over my marriage. Not just the end of my relationship with David, but the end of being essential to anyone. The kids would be fine. David would eventually find someone who deserved him. And I would be the cautionary tale other wives whispered about at book club. The woman who had everything and traded it for nothing, then spent the rest of her life learning that some mistakes don't get second chances.